Hi, and welcome to Queers and Soaps. We're here to bring you some more General Hospital November 1981. November is Luke and Laura wedding month. And
Hey.
I don't even know how because it's they still don't have the damn divorce papers. Anyway, we'll get into it and Tommy, roll the credits. All right, so we're gonna do Karen messaged me the other day and wanted to do a little MVP and as needed because this man brought tears to my eyes several times in these four episodes that we watched. Um, it's Peter Hansen who played Lee Baldwin from 1965 to 2004. Port Charles, he was also Lee Baldwin from 1997 to 2001. He died at 95 years old in 2017. He did his first movie in 1950, and me and Karen have a tie to him. Did you know that, Karen?
No, what's our tie to him?
So me and Karen met on the set of Brigadoon in a high school musical, Brigadoon. He
Yes.
played an uncredited role in Brigadoon in the movie Brigadoon in 1954. So I'm like, oh, look at us tied to Lee Baldwin.
Oh, wow. It's funny. I just told that story today about how the director just said, "Hey, keep these people out of trouble," and that was you and our other friend. That's
Yeah,
how
right.
we met, and we have never been out of trouble, not once.
Yeah, me and Karen out of trouble, and me and Rita were glasses buddies. So if we didn't have which we couldn't wear our glasses for performances, so we would always be holding each other up and looking out for each other and crashing into things and tripping over things. That was me and Rita. Anyway, he has 120 credits, which I'm not sure if you knew. If you looked him up, you do. He was in episodes of a lot of shows in 60s, 70s, and 80s. He won an Emmy for his performance of Lee Baldwin in 1979. I wish I knew what storyline, but I don't.
Probably him being
Um,
drunk for the first time.
for outstanding supporting actor. He was also tied with Rachel Ames to a sci-fi movie they did in 1951. So he'd worked with her before General Hospital,
Wow.
called When Worlds Collide. So yeah, we'll have to look into that. And I think he was credited in that. He has a lot of things he's uncredited for. I'm like, does this man not get paid, or how does uncredited work? Cutscenes? I
I
don't
think it's
know.
just when you're a very young starting out actor, you could have been a day player or not had any lines or only had like a handful of lines and they wouldn't bother to credit you.
Yeah. So yeah, he kills it in these episodes.
Yeah.
All right, so we have Bobby and Noah at a romantic dinner. I'm sure you love this.
Uh, okay, so no, I hated all of these
Of
scenes
course,
so much.
he
They're
just
so
all
creepy.
he all they I know I felt uncomfortable.
Uh-huh.
he's he's like he just is there to get laid,
Mhm.
and she's like, I just want to have a nice date, a nice evening, and maybe it'll come to that, you know?
He put so much pressure on every movement she made. Like, if he
Yeah,
gave her wine, he was like, "And now we have sex?" And she was like, "Maybe we should have the dinner." And he's like, "Well, I gave you hors d'oeuvres." And she's like, "Well, I don't want to fill up on hors d'oeuvres. Let's do the dinner." And he's like, "Oh, well, I can't wait till we get to dessert." Like, every single moment was,
yeah,
"This is going to sex." And if I were her, I would have left because, like, how can she become relaxed, comfortable, and feel safe enough to want to have sex with anyone when they're like, "You're here for sex, and that is the only reason you are here."
right.
It
It
felt
seems like
very girl.
it seems like it's going to Splitsville soon for them, but I could be wrong.
I find him to be very predatory, and I was uncomfortable. I felt very uncomfortable.
Yeah, me too. And I didn't think I would be because I like their chemistry when I see them in other ways and other,
This
situations, I
seems
guess.
this seems to be a theme that's been going on because we had the same problem with Anne Logan, where Anne was between Joe and Jeff, and she didn't want to sleep with one of them right away. So, like, they both gave up on her because she didn't want to sleep with them, which is gross considering how much damage to a woman's reputation and they could lose their job and everything else if somebody thought they were loose. Like, there's no
Yeah, yeah,
consideration given to how much, I guess that's still kind of true now, how much damage can be caused to the woman by the way you're treating.
right.
It's just, I want to have sex. So if I don't get what I want, then this relationship is over. And it's gross.
Yeah. Laura is mad at Robert because he's taken the job in New York. That was funny. I
Yeah,
liked her reaction.
yeah.
She's like, why would you do that? Like, you can't do that.
She's like, no,
Looks
let's talk
like
about it.
looks like it's fine. He needs to go. Let him go. It's all right. I guess they're so bonded, like with their friendship with the island, and she just doesn't want to lose them.
I don't blame
Even
her.
though
They're
I wish
having
it were somewhere else because I feel like New York is so close. I'm
well, they
like,
keep talking
dude,
about it like it's like 12 hours away. Like where
no.
again,
Is
like
Port Charles like on the other side of the state and like New York's on the other side?
but this is the problem I have sometimes with these shows because if we're supposed to know where they are. So like we know that Pine Valley and Landview are in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Seems like you can get from Landview, PA to Port Charles, New York in 3 minutes, but you can't get from like Port Charles, New York to New York City. Now I know New York State is enormous, but where? Where are they? That they're close
Right.
enough to Pennsylvania to be far enough away from New York because we're 3 hour train ride.
Yeah.
Where are you? Where is everyone?
I don't
This is like me
know.
with Swan's Crossing. What time of day is it? What is happening?
I feel like that's in every soap though, like a lot of times. Like you really don't know times a lot of times.
I feel like that as a writer, you're just like, who cares? I'm too busy doing
um
drama.
so we get the continuation of Lee burning the letter. I guess I backtracked a little for this because he's burning the divorce papers. I keep saying letter. It's the divorce papers for Luke and Laura. He pours another drink. Gail calls to try to help him, says I love you. He doesn't say it back. He's really being very cold and like just drunk and angry. He's got a lot going on. um, yeah, I already said, like Luke says, it's Robert's life, I got it. We gotta go. Tiffany's all excited. She's like, oh, it's New York. We're gonna go to Broadway and do this and that. And
She
she's
just
just funny.
assumes that Robert's taking her with him when their relationship has been her saying that he has diamond mines and him telling her that he's broke. And she's just like, I'm going to go with you and everything's going to be great and Broadway.
She doesn't assume. She's just going. She's
Yeah,
like, I'm not. Like, if you say I'm not going, I'm still gonna be there. I'm going to New York.
wherever he gets an apartment, she's just there like a cat. She's just there.
Yeah, just like a cat. Gail confides in Monica about Lee because they think he might be drinking again. Brian comes to check on Lee, and he's kind of a little bit loaded at the time. Um, Robert says that they'll be neighbors because New York's right a train ride away a little bit. We think. I don't know. Um, Luke and Laura are upset because they can't give like a specific date for the wedding.
No, because
Because
they don't have the divorce decree.
right. I mean, really, they should just be like, how about we do it in spring? But whatever, because by then they'd probably have them.
Well,
I
because
mean, it's just,
they don't want to sleep together again until they get married.
that's
That's
right.
what the pressure on the situation is. They like literally decided they weren't going to sleep together until they got married, even though they slept together like one time. But they're just
Right.
like, we're going to do
That's
it
why they're acting like school kids.
because they're hard up and they want to have sex,
Like, yeah,
unlike Bobby, who wants to escape.
yeah. Um, so yeah, they end up going to Kelly's. Everybody goes to Kelly's.
Mhm.
And Robert's like, I feel like I don't know. He's just like decided all of a sudden, like, I'm not gonna take that job. He's like, Port Charles is like my home.
Yeah, but there's a reason for that.
What
He's
was it?
He says so. He says that when he talked to them, because remember he gets that phone call while they're all
Oh
talking.
yeah, he did get that phone call. Right,
And
right. I did
he
forget to
seemed
mention that.
he seemed very disappointed and he took the phone call in the other room, but he seemed bummed when he got that call. So when they get to Kelly's, we find out that it was going to be a paper pusher job. They feel like his cover is blown because of the Ice Princess popularity. So he's not going to be able to
Um,
be an agent. So he's just going to be a paper pusher in charge of a team. And he's like, that's not me and that's not what I want to do.
See, I get distracted when there's 500 people in the scene and that you can hear them all.
I knew this. I knew this because when they were having the conversation, right, and then the wedding contingent comes in and they are all just
Mhm.
loud as hell, and I was just like, right now, Eric's like, oh, could you all just shut up so I can hear the dialogue? But yeah, that
I
was
know.
going on. I know it drives you crazy, but like I kind of like it.
Mm. Gail seems to be in denial about Lee drinking. Brian calls him. Lee hangs up on him. And then Brian kind of plays it off. He's like, oh, he's fine. He's not drinking. Because he doesn't want to like worry Gail, even though she's really worried.
Hmm.
Um, I guess just he went through it before, which I didn't see, so I don't know, what happened in that situation that he might have got that award for. Lee calls for Scotty. It's his birthday and it's almost over. He can't get a hold of him. Does Scotty show up for the wedding, or he's just not on?
Do you want to know
Do
what
you
happened?
remember?
Because
I
I
just
know.
want to know if he shows
I
up.
know
That's all.
exactly what happens at that
He
wedding.
shows up.
Yeah, he does.
Okay. I did see the wedding, but honestly, I haven't watched it in years, and I don't
It's
remember.
the best part.
Well, I don't remember. Sorry.
You know I love Scotty. So
I just don't. My brain stinks. So, and I watch 5,000 soaps, and I can't remember anything.
so a few things from this part that I wanted to mention was that Monica and Lila talk about the wedding in the shower. They start planning a shower. Everybody's talking about it. But like
That was
Monica,
a really quick scene.
yeah, and Monica talks about how she's not going to miss that shower over anything, and then Monica does not show up at the shower, and that made me laugh really hard. Um,
And they do say at the shower that
she got
she
called
was
into
called.
surgery. Yeah. Mm.
Right.
Oh, let me see. I did. You know how I get quotes. When she brings Noah a flower, Bobby, when she comes there, and he's like talking about how she's radiant and stuff, and he's like, nobody loves a coward. Like he's goading her from the moment she comes in the door. It makes me so uncomfortable. Like the entire episode,
Yeah,
so uncomfortable.
it was because she was uncomfortable, and I felt like we felt her pain. We were just like, yeah.
Yeah, and the best line from Tiffany was like they just looked at Tiffany and they're like, she has that big apple gleam in her eye because she was just like, I'm going, I'm going, I'm going.
um, yeah, I didn't know that Brian was Scotty's best friend.
Oh, I did.
I didn't get that.
Oh, it
From
was
even in the
before
current stuff that we watch in '83, I don't.
they
They're
went.
like never in scenes together.
We're not friends anymore. They went to law school together. There was a big thing where Lee wanted Scotty to be his partner at the law firm, and
Mm,
Scotty never really did that because they didn't get on very well.
right, right. I
Like,
do remember hearing about that.
yeah, so Brian and Scotty kind of fell out during that area. And like
Mm,
Lee has been off and on drinking. And then Brian is good friends with Luke. Like everybody kind of turned against Scotty during the Luke and Laura thing. And like, yeah, Scotty made some mistakes. And they brought it up in the one episode. They're like, Scotty tried to kill you. And I'm like, if I were Scotty, I might try to kill Luke too. So I kind of wrote that off. But yeah, like it seems like that friendship kind of got destroyed by both the problems with Lee and Gail that Scotty was having, and also the problems with Luke and Laura just being everybody's sweetheart, and Scotty standing there being screwed over all the time.
right. So there was a odd scene too. Like, because usually people don't come in like late into episodes, but Alan was there all of a sudden, and he tells Susan that Monica refuses to file for divorce.
I
And
like
I'm like, I
that
guess
scene, first off, because I love Alan's big giant glasses, and he wears them forever.
it was
But
just weird that he just turned up out of nowhere. I was like, oh, did I miss
it was weird.
something?
It
Is this a
was
new
weird.
episode?
Yeah, I did check to see if I was in a new episode. And like
See?
he's literally reading a medical journal, and she's like trying to get his attention, and she's just like, hi, what are you doing? And like he's acting so weird and distant, and it's because he was afraid to tell her that Monica was like, I'm not doing it, I'm not suing
Mm-mm.
you, I'm gonna make you sue me. So like now he's in this position where if he sues Monica for divorce, he looks like a horrible person because he's already living in a cottage with his mistress who had his baby
Yeah,
while still married to her. He would look
doesn't
awful.
look good for the family.
No, and it's an embarrassment to the family.
Brian goes to Lee, tries to sober him up with some coffee. Um, Lee calls Gail. He seems like a tad remorseful, and he sleeps at the office. Luke and Robert talk about him turning down the job. Luke says he is always there for him. That was cute. And I put, right.
I know,
Because
considering where we
1983, they really should have sped that up in 80. I mean, I get it. You have to cause a rift, whatever, for drama.
well, the
But
funniest thing is
they're
like
so close in this, though. Like, it makes you so sad in 1983.
in the comment he says to him, he says, if you get yourself into trouble with that Australian grin of yours
Yeah.
and you don't call me to help you, I will hate you. And it's just like from this to where we are a few years, like a year, 2 years later, like Luke makes no sense. These two were like peas in a pod.
I know.
I'm
I
so
know.
sorry, everyone. We're like telling the future. Oh,
Well,
and
two
then
people
Robert
know.
stole his watch in that scene and changed the
He
time.
did what?
He stole his watch when they
Oh,
shook
I didn't
hands.
remember that.
When when Robert shook Luke's hand, he took his watch,
It's
and
so
then
funny.
Robert, he was like, "Robert, give me back my watch." And then he gets his watch and he goes, "You changed the time on this."
Maybe Anthony Geary has his watch, which is what he said in that picture he signed for me.
Oh, really?
He
Maybe
mentioned the watch and how the watch disappeared when he like brought it to the cleaners.
stealing watches.
Anthony has it. So November 4th, 1981,
Yay!
Amy and Jesse are talking. They're starting to plan this wedding shower, which they said that they were planning for a while, but I don't really remember them. I mean, they mentioned the wedding shower, but they never like started planning it until now all of a sudden.
I'm
But they were acting like it was like a big thing, and I'm like, they didn't start
I'm
that.
confused though. Is 11:02 like the one we just watched? Was that a Friday? Because like, no, it wouldn't have been. So we missed the third. The third is missing.
Yeah, we probably missed the third. Yeah.
So maybe they've been planning the shower since the third because they have not talked about the shower previously. I think maybe someone mentioned before that Amy wanted to plan it, but
Well, I think
Claudia said she
somebody wanted,
wanted to plan it.
right? Claudia wanted to mentioned it to Laura. That was the only time we had a mention of a shower.
Can we just say that Claudia is not on enough? She's just not.
Mm-mm.
She's
No,
she's like here for a second, gone for a second, and like I really
she's
like
very
that.
side. She's very side character in this. She
Yeah,
does more in 83 or 82 even.
yeah, she does a lot more later on. But like here, she's just kind of like she shows up, she talks to Laura for a minute, she's gone, and it's kind of like I
Yeah.
even in the last one, Brian had dropped Claudia off at another person's house before showing up at Lee and Gail's. They couldn't have came together. We couldn't have had all of them in the scene.
Yeah.
Like, where's
I like
Claudia?
the games that Amy's talking about for the shower. It's funny.
Amy is so excitable and happy, and I
Pin
love
the
her.
tail on the Luke or something.
Yeah, it's just like, well, it won't be the real look. We'll get a picture of Luke, and then we'll pin the like Jesse. Can you, like, it's like, can you do your job? Can you just do your job?
Yeah. And Gail comes in and she's hoping that Lee called, but Lee didn't. Jesse says, no messages. I'm sorry. Yeah, this was confusing for me. Leslie calls Alice about the stuff for the shower or whatever. And then Heather's outside the window. What is Heather trying to find? So throughout this episode, Heather is hunting in this house, in Alice's house, and she's just digging for shit.
So
And
CPS gave Alice a form to fill out, like a questionnaire,
who?
like CPS, like Child Protective Services, because remember
Oh,
for the
he
baby,
said CBS. I'm like, what does
yes,
CBS have to do with this?
another
It's
channel
on
wanted
ABC.
Heather for their soap, and they don't get her because she goes to All My Children. But anyway,
She goes to every soap.
she
She's in Santa Barbara soon. I'm excited to get her. But
yeah.
anyway, go on.
But anyway, so this questionnaire that she's going to fill out is going to hurt Heather because she has told Heather to her face that she's not a good mother and she doesn't believe she would be a good mother and she doesn't want her to have custody of Stephen.
Right. She's on Team Jeff.
Right. So this is the plan. She is going to fill out that questionnaire. She's going to fly to, I think, Arizona where Jeff is.
Wherever Jeff is, yeah.
Hand the survey over and get to see her grandson. That's the plan.
Right.
Because she leaves Rick. I believe Rick drives her to the airport after
Airport, yeah. After the shower.
So Heather is outside the door waiting for her mother to open the door so she can slide on in there and start searching. And that's what she does. Also, the room in there has very bright green walls, and I really liked it.
It was a throwback. Well, she eventually she digs around and she finds a gun and she takes it because that's what you
Why?
do.
Why take the gun?
That's what I said. I was so confused. I'm like, girl, you were blamed for murder, and if it is a weapon of some sort, like your hands are.
Yeah, you
Heather
now
does so many stupid things.
she
Like,
does.
what the?
And the thing is, it's like she even said so. Like she's just like, I don't know, I saw it and I took it. Girl, why?
How about you take it with a cloth? Like,
How
there's
about you call the police? Or not, because
that,
you broke into your mother's
but you
house,
broke in here.
push the door shut, and leave. Like, just leave. I mean, in any situation, how is
So
that going to
weird.
help her? How is it going to help her? She was basically cleared of Diana's murder, or not cleared, but like they didn't have enough evidence to do anything.
Right, right, right.
And then you pick up a gun, and then you drive around in a car with it. What is wrong with you? Oh, such a good
I
actor.
know. So through all this, Luke is still worried about the divorce papers. So was Laura. Um, they want Luke and Laura's help, or I'm sorry, Luke and Robert's help to like keep Laura away from the shower to like distract her because it's a surprise. I don't know how Laura didn't know because I thought everybody was acting super suspicious. So
So it was
Laura's got,
funny
I
because
don't know.
they were going dress shopping. And she goes, "My mother's not going." Like, that's a red flag. Why wouldn't Leslie go dress shopping? There's the only reason Leslie wouldn't go dress shopping is if she had a surgery to go to. And then you'd
Right,
reschedule because it's your mother. Like,
it's
that
your
doesn't
mother.
make any sense, you know? And then she's like, "That's weird. Why would you do that? I'm really sad that my mom's not coming." And like Tiffany's like, "Don't
Yeah.
worry about it. I'm going."
Luke asks Robert to be his best man. Yay.
So sweet.
Laura says that Amy's acting more strange than usual. Like, really, girl?
Mhm.
Um, Monica lets Amy know that Leslie and her ironed out their issues because Amy had said something
She was
about.
like, "Are you sure you want to go to the shower? Because like it's going to be at Leslie's house, and you know how you feel about Leslie." And I was like, "Amy, stir in the pot. Like you gotta like give it to her. Amy is fun
How does she know everything though? It's crazy to me. Like
because
everybody
she's
just
at
likes to
that front
talk, I
desk,
guess.
and everyone in the anyone who has a secret ever goes and sits in that little lounge that's right next to the hospital desk and talks about all their secrets, right where Amy can hear them. And then they go,
Yeah,
"How
right.
did Amy know about all her secrets when she was standing 2 feet away when we talked about the murder?"
Edward and Monica talk.
That was funny.
He says like her plan might backfire on her if because he's whatever, he's Edward.
The funny thing is, like, this is him coming back from Paris, and she's like, "I thought you would go home, get a shower, relax." And he goes, "Oh, your mother has a bunch of crazy old ladies at the mansion, so I came here."
He's a mess.
I love him. He's so mean. I wrote down
So
my note,
bizarre.
cranky old man.
Right.
It was
Luke
very
goes to see Joe. Lee's there. Says he can't help. He stole his wife. He's all mad. Get out.
funny.
Um,
Yeah,
Luke asks if he knows about the divorce papers. He said, "To hell with the divorce decree."
that was awesome.
It was.
It was awesome.
It
I was
was. It was
impressed.
really
I was
cool.
impressed with Lee in that scene.
That's when Luke started getting a little suspicious. He's like, something might be up with this dude.
Yeah,
Rick and Leslie were being cute. Um, I mean, Alice doesn't think that Heather should have custody of her son, which we covered. Luke gets to Gail. Have Amy is curious. I guess because Luke's there, right? Like Luke
so
asks questions, so she's like
Amy,
suspicious of what's going on.
Amy sees Jesse talking with Luke, and Luke is looking for Gail because he wants to tell Gail that he thinks Lee is drinking. Like they
Yeah,
all, it's you know what, it's so funny because like Luke has really no ties to Gail other than through Laura, and that's like breaking off. But every person on this show is like, we have to warn Gail that Lee might be drinking again. Like they're all like so respectful of that situation. And Amy
right.
immediately gloms on to how serious Jessie is when she's talking to Luke. And she's like, "So what's going on?" And Luke is just like, "Go to hell, Amy." And I was like, "That's your sister-in-law, dude. You might want to like knock it down a little bit."
Soon to be. Well, maybe
He
soon
was
to be. If they ever
mad.
get these papers.
To hell with your
The
divorce decree.
hell with it.
Yeah.
So Luke mentions Lee drinking. She goes to Brian. He says Lee was drunk and she feels helpless, like she can't do anything, which she can't. It's
She
all on
can't.
him.
No.
Um, Rick goes to Lee about the divorce papers. Lee goes off on him, kicks him out. He locks the door, takes the phone off the hook, and down some more alcohol. He's a very good drunk. I like
He
him.
was he was really funny because like Brian, like everyone's trying to help him. And Lee is just like, nobody's home. I'm not here. Go away. And then he was holding the alcohol and he's like, it's just you and me, pal. And I was like,
Is he just drinking straight vodka, or we do assume vodka? I don't know if we saw a label.
There's no label on the bottle. There wouldn't be because
Mm-mm.
if it's not sponsored, they're not going to sponsor alcohol in the afternoon. So
So
I
we
would,
just assume it's
it could be
vodka,
gin.
probably.
It could be gin
Oh,
also.
maybe gin.
So it's
Maybe.
either vodka or gin, I would assume. The way he's pounding it, I would assume it's vodka, but like he's like literally walking around with his little cup and he's like happily hugging his bottle. And I'm just like, you know what? Sometimes it looks like it's fun to be a little drunk. Not when you're an alcoholic, that's bad.
Yeah. Laura and Tiffany are talking about getting dresses done. Tiffany's like, "Oh, we got to go to my lady." What's her name? Delphina? Delphina?
Her
But she
name
calls
is,
her Delphina.
yes, her name is Delphina, and she is a very famous designer. And Tiffany calls her Delphina to annoy her.
And it is funny. They have a great relationship.
It is
Which
funny.
I remember her
Yes,
from. I think she's in '82 as
she
well. That
is.
Delphina.
She makes
All
dresses.
right.
She makes dresses from a shop for Celia.
Ah, right. Oh, so then '83. That's she was in.
Don't worry,
Yeah, I
everybody
couldn't
knows her. She was
remember.
on for a
I
while.
knew I'd seen her before, and I remember when she said the name, and I was like, "She's on it." When I seen her.
I adore her.
Um, Luke and Laura with Amy, they talk about Lee. I put he hates your guts. Shut up, Amy. Um, Luke and Edward talk about his job search. This was funny.
Oh
Um, he,
wow, that was sweet. I love the way Luke handled that.
yeah, go ahead. You can talk about it.
So Edward is just asks him what he's going to do for money because he's Edward. And Luke is like, "Well, I've had a lot of offers." And Edward's like, "Oh yeah, what kind of offers?" And he's like, "Well, lately I had an offer from a company you used to be attached with." And he's like, "What are you talking about? I've only ever been attached to one company in the last 30 years, and that's ELQ." And he goes, "Yeah, well, some sexy lady offered me a job in your offices. I think you know her." And he's like, "Lyra."
Yeah,
And he always calls her sexy. It's so funny.
and Edward always has that puss face when he finds it.
Yeah, he does not like it, but I did. I loved it.
Ah, I know. This is when so Gail, Brian, and Rick get to leave. They can't get in. They just bang on the door.
So funny.
Luke and Laura talk about the papers. He says he'll go to Mexico if he has to, if they're not here the next day. They kiss on the porch while everybody waits inside to surprise her.
It's
And
funny
then
because
that's when,
they've turned the lights out and they're all hiding down, and these two are making out on the porch.
yeah, and they're like all whispering, "I hear her keys." It's just like so crazy. And that's when, at the end, Heather finds the gun. In the beginning of the next episode of November 6th, she takes the gun, and then when she's leaving, there's some lady at the door for a bowl.
Oh, is this is all part? Oh, I've gone to 106, haven't I? No, this is all on part. I'm always doing this, but no, she found. She found. So one of the things that I wanted to mention was in the last episode. Okay, because that's 5. All right. So in the one episode when she runs into the next door neighbor, like the next door neighbor is one of those neighbors that wants to tell you 400 different stories while they're standing there, and
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, I left my bowl and I gotta get it because I'm going to the shower and blah 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 blah." And Heather is like, "I am hunting for papers right now. Get the hell out!" And
Was that during the hunt? I thought it was when she had the gun and she was about to leave.
no, because she is about to leave. Like I do think, but this is all in 4. In 5, we start with Brian, Rick, and Gail trying to break into the office. Um, yeah. So like there's a lot going on in this episode that like kind of blends into the next one. Because you haven't mentioned Joe, and Joe is in 1104.
Um, I thought.
She does find the gun at the very end of 11:04.
No. Oh, you know what? I put 11-6 twice. Whoops. So I'm starting 11-5. Whoopsies.
Okay, well then a few things you didn't mention, like everyone is going to Lee's office, including Rick. Rick drops by and tries to help him. He gets rebuffed. Like Brian comes, he gets rebuffed. And it's like each time Lee is funnier and I love him more. He's so
Right.
mean. I just love it. Um they all want to get to Joe, and everybody noticed Lee's weird mood and they keep talking about it, and yeah, they find the gun at the end. But one of the things is like everybody's looking for Joe. Where is Joe? He's not in
Yeah.
this one. He's in this
Yeah.
one.
He's in this
It's
one.
like, where was he? Because like they're at the office. Is Joe here? No, he's not there. They go to the Kellys. Is Joe here? No, he's not there. Where's
Yeah.
Joe?
So yeah, Lee like screams at the door. He's like, "Go to the shower." And then that's when everybody's at the house. She comes in. She's surprised. Amy asks where Bobby was all night, and Bobby's like, "Oh,"
Yeah, she
because
blows
she
it
was with
off.
Noah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think she was with him all night. We never find out if they actually slept together.
Well, because we missed that episode.
It might have been that episode, yeah.
So I don't
So
know
we
what
don't know if they slept together, but I guess I'm sure there'll be a flashback eventually.
someone tell me in the comments if they slept together. I need to
If
know.
anybody knows what happened on November 3rd,
Please tell me she slapped him in the face.
1981.
That would have been incredible for me.
Lee lets them in, and he said all he wants is his friend, the liquor. And he toasts them. Well, he's like, I'm going to make a toast. And he's like, I forget what my toast is. Toast to everyone, or toast to y'all.
He's like to everybody, and then he starts drinking, and I love him.
This is where the lady came by for the bowl for Laura's. Oh wait,
Yes,
yeah,
yeah,
for Laura's shower.
right.
Luke and Robert are talking. They mention Lee.
I wrote in my notes, Luke is a moody bitch.
He is.
Because he is.
Gail tries to get through to Lee once again. He wants his boy.
Oh.
Yeah, tough love. They leave. They're just like, yeah, we just got to give him tough love. We got to just let him work it out on his own.
Yeah, because he thinks for some reason that Gail would be going to that shower. Like, Gail wouldn't be going to that shower. It'd be really weird to go to your ex-daughter-in-law's wedding shower for someone else.
Yeah. At the shower, Bobby seems a little sad because, like, I guess she wants to be married. I didn't really understand
I think
why.
so. I think
Because she was nice to Laura in the beginning. Like, she was like, oh, this is great, whatever. And then, like, she just seems
well,
sad because everybody's, like, celebrating.
if we go back to the conversation she had with Ruby a couple weeks ago, where Ruby was like, "You're looking to get married, so stop playing games." And she did. She stopped playing games. She did everything right. And Noah is still Noah. He's still a
Yeah,
phobe and a weirdo who wants to sleep with everybody, which is
yeah,
fine. But don't date Bobby if you're like that.
right.
Gross.
Leslie gets a call, and it's Rick about Lee. Heather gets pulled over.
That was so
You know
funny.
where that's going.
So funny. When she got pulled over, I was like, I bet she doesn't have registration and she doesn't have a driver's license. I was waiting for the trifecta of she has a gun in the car, she has
But she's got a gun.
but she doesn't have a gun. She did have registration because it's a rental, she says. And then she's like, "Oh, my driver's license in the back." And the cop's like, "Well, get it."
Yeah,
I felt bad for that cop because she was being ridiculous.
yeah, right. Yeah, but so the gun comes out, whatever, he sees it, and he takes her in. And she was speeding, apparently.
Well, she was lying the entire time
So,
because she was speeding. She I don't know about the rental car, even if that was a rental. But even with the gun,
right.
she started lying about where the gun came from. She's like, "Oh, I have it for protection." And he's like, "Okay, do you have it registered?" She's like, "No, do I have to?" Like she was really trying to play like dumb girl to get away with it. And
Yeah, of course.
then he's like, "Can you get the gun, please?" And she's like, "No, can you get it?" And he's like, "No, I can't get it." Like, why would he touch the gun? Like, she was crazy in that scene, and I love her for it.
So weird. Joe comes in, he finds Lee passed out. Lee's like, Lee, coffee doesn't help a drunk. Lee starts like feeling bad. I put Joe as a good dude. He sends Lee home, and Lee says he wants to walk it off.
Yeah, he offers to drive him home. He didn't want him to
Yeah.
drive. He was good to him.
Robert and Luke join the party. Luke gets Laura alone, tells about Lee drinking. He thinks he knows about the divorce papers, but he won't say anything. And he says he'll still go to Mexico tomorrow if they aren't there. Basically, a lot of the same conversations with that shit. Um, Tiffany gives Laura her emerald earrings, which is like her favorite thing,
She
which was
does.
nice.
I thought it was really sweet. And Amy wanted to put
It
them on
was,
immediately.
yeah. But she say real live emeralds.
She's like, are these real? Yeah. And Leslie's like,
uh,
Amy, don't be rude.
yeah, this was sweet. So Lee gets home. He talks to Gail. He lets it all out. Everything that he was been felt. I mean, he could have let it out as he went along, but then we wouldn't have this awesome story. And I like that he says, he says, just being here helped him. And I was like, so
Well,
cute.
what does he say? He's adorable, but he says even in it, he's like, I was trying to keep it all together for everybody, and like I couldn't.
But he just get madder and madder and
Yeah,
madder
he's
and
like,
into
and
the
everyone is
alcohol.
yeah, and everyone's getting over it, and everyone's moving on, and I can't move on, and I don't know where my son is, and like his
Right.
rage, and I'm like, he felt so impotent that like he turned all that inward and started drinking, and now he feels like
Yeah.
an ass because he's like remorseful because he was mean to his wife, and he destroyed legal documents, like he went on
Right.
there, and he knows that he screwed up, and I love him.
And Gail wants him to go to AA, and he says he won't do it again, and he's probably open to anything because he feels bad. Heather gets to the police station, and she's smart. She's like, I want my lawyer. But then she's stupid. Whatever. She calls
Yeah.
Kelly's. I guess she's trying to get Joe.
Can I talk about how stupid Martha is in this scene? Because she hears the phone ring, and instead of grabbing the phone, she tries to grab all the food off the table to bus before she then goes to reach for the phone and ends up dumping all of the food on the floor. Girl, there is no one in Kelly's with you. Answer the phone, then bust the table. So then by the time everybody gets there, she's literally on her hands and knees trying to clean up everything she would not have dropped on the ground if she didn't do that.
Honestly, I would do something like that, so I really felt for her in that because I would be the same way. I'd be like, oh, I want to grab this stuff, and then I'll grab the phone. Like when I put this, like I just
Martha,
that's what I
no.
do. Yeah, that's what I did. Me and Martha, twinsies.
Oh
I
my
feel your pain, girl. What's on the same thing? Um, so Robert and Luke get to Kelly's. He tells Robert that he's suspicious of Lee. Robert tries to like, let's come up with a plan, like to try to, make him tell whatever the truth. Um, that was actually funny when we get to it. Luke calls Gail. It says he can't come to the phone because he's, passed out. He's asleep. He says he'll be there in the morning, so be sure that he's sober up. He doesn't want any liquor in him when he talks to him. Joe comes in. Of course, there's no papers. They fill Joe in, and Joe doesn't believe it because, he knows Lee, and he would never do that.
But he's been drinking, and then Joe goes. But also, did you notice that they took Martha out drinking? They decided to close Kelly's and go to the bar, and they took Martha with them. I was
Yeah.
like, how does this place ever make any money?
Because everybody's usually always there. So I feel like it's one of those places that everybody just, yeah, but I feel like everybody just throws their money at her. Like they don't care. They're just like, oh, it's
They're
Kelly's.
also in her kitchen. They cook in her kitchen. They steal her
Yeah,
chips when she's not there. They lean over the counter and take beer. How does this
she
work?
gets she gets hooked up, I'm sure.
She must. She must.
Alice is going to see Jeff about the custody of Stephen Lars. Heather found the gun that killed Diana.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yeah, they did the ballistics on the gun, and it turns out it's the gun that killed Diana. And now she knows her mother had the gun that killed Diana.
Yeah.
What the heck,
So
Alice?
now we're in November 6th, 1981. See, I put after the shower, but it was actually the next day. The next day they're cleaning up after the shower.
I liked it because
Um,
I said the girls sucker Rick into cleanup because
yeah,
they did. Poor Rick, he was the one that decorated, and he ended up having to take everything down.
Laura feels guilty about taking Tiffany's emerald earrings. I'm like, dude, they were a gift, and that's what they say. They're like, it's a gift. Like, what are you talking about?
Amy calls Tiffany
Um,
a mercenary, and they
and
all get
they
mad at her, and she's
they
right.
ask, Yeah, they ask about her favorite wedding song, and then they start like singing random wedding songs,
That's
which is
funny.
funny.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, promise me. um, Luke gets to Lee's. He isn't there. Gail says he might be at his office. Heather is held in jail. Of course, there's a mean woman guard because there always is.
Yeah. Although in most of the scenes that they show with Heather and the guard and Heather and the cop, Heather would have been shot to death if it was today. When she was in the car and she was not getting the gun and not cooperating
Yeah,
against,
for sure.
she looked scary. She looked dangerous, and she had a gun in her vehicle. She probably would have been shot. And then when she
Hmm.
was in, when the lady brought her, I guess the warden, lady, cop, brought
Lady Warden.
when the cop brought her breakfast, she grabbed her. Like you think you can grab a cop? Like you just like grab her by the arm? Like this cop is like,
Right.
let go of me, lady. And I was like, she would beat her. Right now, she would have took her stick off and beat her. I don't know how Heather's still alive.
Right. Laura and Amy joke about her meeting a man that can
Oh,
kind of be equal with Amy.
Amy, Amy never gets married, guys.
But Amy knows, like she knows herself. She's like, I don't think anybody can keep up with me, which is probably true.
She's right. Amy's awesome.
Gail talks to Laura. She tells her Lee may be behind it. Gail wonders if it's true. And Joe and Ramsey talk about Heather, the gun, and that it's Heather or whatever that had the gun. And then Joe's just kind of like done. He's just like, she
Yo.
did it.
Yeah, he was so burnt out. He was like, I can't believe this. I believe you.
Yeah, he's just done with her.
Yeah.
I felt kind of bad for her, but at the same time, she's an idiot. So whatever, it is
She's
what it is.
a girl who cried wolf all the time. Like she lies so often that like he believed her, and everyone's like, she lies all the time, which she does. She lied for Scotty, and like she lies for everyone all the time. And he
When do
believed
we
her.
find out this killer? Do we ever find out the killer?
Yeah. But like she just lied so often. Like she wasn't even lying to Joe, but even when she tells the truth, she doesn't tell the whole truth. And I think that's what
Right.
frustrated Joe, because Joe's like, okay, tell me the story from the beginning. And she immediately starts lying to him. Like, why didn't you just say, she tells him later, but she should have started with, I broke into my mother's house to steal like papers about the custody hearing. And
Right.
I want my son, and I found a gun in a drawer, and my dumbass took it.
But she hides everything all the time.
She lies like breathing. It's just how
She
she
really does. She thinks it's going to help her, but it really just never does.
I know, I felt so bad. I was like, the one time she's telling the truth. Not all of
Well,
it, though. Not all of it.
again, if she would have called somebody, maybe she should have called Joe when she found the gun. Hey, I broke into my mom's because I was trying to do this, and I found the gun. Like a gun.
And then he would have
I
been
don't
like,
know.
Heather, leave the gun where it is, leave the house, lock the door, and I'll get a search warrant. Not take the gun, get in a car, and go speeding, dum dum. Oh,
So stupid.
yeah.
Tiffany goes to her dress lady, Delphina. And I guess she's going to make dresses for everybody, it seems. I thought it was only going to be the wedding dress.
It was going to be the wedding dress and Tiffany's dress. And then Amy said, well, I'm the maid of honor, so I should get something special. And she goes, well, let's all get our dresses done.
Yeah. She shows her the sketches, a bunch of different dresses, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Except like, let's talk about Delphina for a second and how she was talking about the guy on the plane. And she said this guy was talking to her on the plane the entire time. And he had, I think I wrote it down, how many drinks everybody had. But hold on, let me find that. I'm sorry. I was just holding on to it because it was so funny. And now it's not going to be funny. Anyway, so she said that he was a 2 wine man, which means he's like a 2 beer queer, when they get drunk. And they were like, well, why did you put up with that? And she goes, because I had 6 white wine spritzers. She was
I don't know how you could drink that much on a plane.
No, but people used to drink like fishes on planes. So
Yeah, like a thing. Now it's like $20.
But she comes in and she's literally the drama. She's got her sketches. She's got fabric. She's just like flying into the scene, calling everyone plebs. Like she's like, they're plebeian. I love her.
She is fun. Steve and Audrey have a little talk at the hospital about what she's going to wear to the wedding. And he's like, it's going to be expensive, I'm sure.
She said, I'll buy it myself. Women are pulling their own weight these days. But before that, when he was talking to Dan, Steve said, best to leave weddings in the hands of women. And Audrey
Women.
comes up and she's just like, what sexist things are you saying now, Steve? It's very funny.
Right. Um, so yeah, Joe goes to Heather. She says that she took it from her mom's, and she starts blaming people. It could have been Anne. It could have been Sarah. Who the hell's Sarah?
I don't
Is
know,
that Liz's sister?
but yes, but she's not born yet.
I was gonna say, like, well, which Sarah is this?
She would be negative 20 years old at this point.
Right. So who is she? Is
I
she the
don't know.
maid?
I don't know. That's the maid from Edge of Night. What her name was Sarah. I don't know who Sarah is. I just know that Heather, like, because Heather was rambling everything, and she was just like, "This proves that it could be this person or that person or this person." I'm like surprised she didn't say Anne.
She
Um,
did.
yeah,
She said
okay,
Anne or Sarah. Yeah, she did.
okay,
Anybody that's in that house, probably.
right.
And Joe gets mad and walks out on her. Now Lee is like feeling remorseful, and he tries to call Laura. At the wedding place, Tiffany answers the phone.
No,
She's like, oh, she's busy.
It's a Robert's apartment.
I
There,
was at Robert's apartment. I didn't know where they were.
so
I never know where anybody is.
she picks it up, and she's just like, "Oh, Luke's not here," and he's like, "Well, can I talk to Laura Baldwin, please?" And she goes, "Darling, she's busy right now," and just hangs up on him. She's he calls twice and she hangs up. She like he hangs up the first time. She hangs up the second.
And luckily, Luke came in to Lee at that time. Yes, he was pissed, but
She goes, "Where
I.
the hell is Luke?" And Luke is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off." Got
But I
excited.
love this. So Luke asks him, if he did take the papers, and he's like, "Yeah, I took them." Like he just like flat out said it because that never happens in soaps. So yeah, he's like, "Yeah," and I burned them, so we can't get him back.
he
But
gets
he feels bad. He's very ashamed and he's very
no,
sorry.
and Luke says, "Don't give me no heartbreak hotel."
This is when it brought a tear to my eye because I can really felt like he felt really remorseful and he like felt really sorry. And it even got to Luke because Luke, when he turned, he said it again, like, oh, I'll ask Laura. And then like he said, I really am sorry. Like he just felt that apology, and Luke was just like, I'll ask Laura. I'll talk to Laura.
Well, because he came in
Um,
there and he wanted to be really angry at Lee, and
of course.
he got kind of like misdirected because Lee was just like, because he was like, "Where the hell is Luke?" And Luke is like, "The hell, Luke is the hell here," like he was ready to fight,
Right.
and Lee is just like, I'm sad and I'm sorry."
And Lee says he'll do anything. He'll even try to go to Mexico. He'll do whatever he can to make it up.
Oh, so sad.
I know. Leslie and Rick meet a new intern, which was random, but maybe they just did it
He
just
was on
for.
before. He
Was
was on
he?
before. I think his name is Zach. I'm not sure. He was
Oh,
on.
because she's like,
Remember,
oh, I think he'll be a really good doctor. I didn't remember him.
remember there was a scene where Bobby was jealous of that nurse that was asking Rick for a
Yes.
back. He was at the table and then he got up. They were talking to him and he got up and left.
Oh,
They came in. So he has been on before.
my memory shit. I didn't remember. I don't remember these day players with 5 lines.
That's my job.
um. eh, So yeah, Ramsey ends up calling Joe, and Heather wants him to get back there. He doesn't want to come back, but he's like, "All right, whatever." So he goes back. I think, or does he get? Yeah, I think he does.
He does. He does. He tells
Right.
he tells Captain Ramsey that he doesn't want to be Heather's lawyer anymore because she's a liar. And Ramsey's like, she won't talk to me unless you're here. So come back, and I don't care what you say to her, but get her to
Yeah.
tell us whatever she has to say first, which is smart.
Luke gets to Laura, tells about everything about Lee. Laura's pissed. Luke and Lee are going to Mexico, and he says that he's being a fool. She's like, "You're being a fool. Like, don't trust them. Like, what? It's all happened. Whatever."
She's very vindictive in this scene, and it's really a rare thing from Laura, like because she's like he's hateful, and everything he's doing is hateful, and like normally Laura is like the most forgiving, And in this, like, she's just like, if he goes with you, he'll do something to ruin this. He can't go. And I'm just like, wow, because like Laura has a backbone. We all know
It's
she
usually
really
like the opposite.
does, but usually she's
Yeah,
passionate. So I like this too.
yeah.
I think she's
Amy spreads
frustrated
the
too.
word. I mean, Amy spreads the word already about Heather being arrested. I'm like, how did she find out? Like, what does she have? Like,
I
is
feel
she
like
friends with the guard?
secretly dating a cop and we just don't know. And that cop just calls her and goes, he's a gossip too. And he's like, you wouldn't believe what happened down here at the station
The female guard
today.
texted her, "Yo,
Yeah,
Heather's here."
they're friends.
um,
Maybe they date. I don't know.
Joe isn't pleased. He tells Heather off and leaves again.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Twice in this episode, he shuts her up by telling her to shut up. Like he shouts at her to shut up. And I don't blame him.
Yeah,
She was rambling and rambling and rambling. And he was like, all of this is nonsense. Just shut up.
yeah. I
And
can't wait to see how she gets out of this mess. I have a
he did,
feeling like Scotty might be involved.
he rec- I hope so. He recommended the other lawyer, Zelda, the one that's Monica's lawyer for the divorce. And Heather was like,
Zelda.
you know she hates me. She'll never take my case. And he goes, oh no, I guess you'll just have to get a public defender. Bye. And I was like, Joe, yes.
So Lee gets to Laura or whatever, and he explains everything, why he did it. He apologizes. He has airplane tickets to Mexico.
Hmm.
Um, so Laura kind of still goes off on Lee talks about resigning, and they're all like, let's not go that far. We can keep it between us. Laura and Luke accept his apology, and they basically go to Mexico. They leave Laura there
And they don't take
on
any
her own.
suitcases with them. Not a single one of them took a suitcase.
I don't think they're planning on staying. They're probably just flying in, trying to find papers and flying back, I'm
They're in
assuming.
they're in New York. That flight is over 5 hours to get to Mexico. They're going to be there at least overnight, and nobody brought any suitcases. What the hell,
Or
guys?
maybe Port Charles is only a train ride away. We don't know. So
Uh,
far from New York.
I do like that when Heather was
Um,
in prison, the cops were like, "You're not going anywhere for a long time," and I was like, "That's classic. So classic."
yeah, I have that. Heather wants to call Alice, but Ramsey books her for murder.
Yeah.
Boom.
Let's see. Oh, one thing though, when they all get there, Tiffany's still there with Delphina, and like Delphina was measuring Laura, and Laura's like, "Oh, when is this going to be done?" And she goes, "It'll be done as soon as you stop moving." Like she's like snapping at her. But when they all show up, they're like, "Well, Delphina, can you go?" And she's like, "Okay." And Tiffany's like, "I'm going to take you to this charming little diner." She's taking her to Kelly's. Everyone's going to Kelly's.
It is a charming little diner. Tiffany
It
likes
really
it
is.
there. It's like home. You feel like home at Kelly's. So I also like the one little. What was the line between Delphina and Tiffany when Tiffany's like, "Oh, I think that dress should be a little longer." What did Delphina say? I forget.
She was like, basically, she was like, "Do I tell you how to act?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Right, Diana? And then Laura's like, "Yeah, I think it could be a little longer."
and she's just like amateurs, plebeians. She's just like insulted by them. But apparently, the dress that Laura picked out in the other episode, Tiffany was too matronly, so they couldn't have that one. So now that she's like youth it up, and I'm like 80s youth it up is like so matronly now, like it's crazy. But
Yeah,
Delphina was a breath of fresh air. I liked how dramatic she was and how mean
she's
she was
fun.
in a fun New York way. And like
Right.
Lee killed it this week. He killed it. Every scene with Lee
Yeah.
killed it.
Yeah. And when he was in like his apology, I feel like I teared up twice when he was like apologizing because I really like because he meant it and he felt it and
He's
he's like I just had to get everything out and I did and I'm all right. Like
he literally
what need
bought
to happen?
3 tickets to Mexico. They didn't have to pay for any of that. He
Right,
bought
right.
3 tickets. He's like, this is my mess. I made it. I'm fixing it. And like as soon as Luke heard that, like that's all Luke needed to hear. He owned it
He
and was
owned it.
do everything he can to fix it. It took Laura a minute longer, but like remember, Leah's been mean to Laura ever since they started having problems between her and Scott. So he's been mean to her.
Yeah.
And even she
Which
was like,
made the
yeah.
her reaction made sense then,
Yeah, but
more
like
so.
even then she was like, nobody wants you to lose your law degree. You're a very
Right.
distinguished lawyer, and this is between us. Like, this was a personal issue between us. And he was like, I destroyed legal papers. And they were all like, we never saw anything. We never heard anything. We don't know nothing. And I was
And
like,
he explained how everybody had that, everybody was able to have their own, what is it, their own, how
closure.
everybody was all upset, their closure, where he didn't, and, with Scotty MIA and all that,
Well, the whole thing is like
got to him.
son was hurt, his emotions like were hurt, and he can't even find his son to try and help. And their relationship is strained, off and on strained. So like he just felt so helpless that it turned to anger. And like that's very normal for anyone. That's a really normal reaction. And it was
Yeah.
played so well, like you said. I nearly cried, I guess, like 4 times this week just because of how Lee played it. And I laughed when he was
Hmm.
like, "It's you and me, pal," with the alcohol. I was dying. When they were banging on the
That's
door and he's like, "Go away." I was like, "Yes."
yeah, that's why I had to look up and see if he won an Emmy at all for his role, and I'm glad he did. I'm
For
glad he
that.
won one. I'm sure he was nominated a few times too, and he just probably didn't win.
He's
But
brilliant. I loved him even when I watched it when I was younger. I always loved Lee and Gail. I thought they were a great couple.
yeah, so I don't know if the wedding will be in the next batch or the batch after, but we're gonna
Coming
bring you some more General Hospital, but it's coming soon. Hopefully, we have all the episodes we need to the build up because I mean we've had the talk about this damn wedding for almost it feels like years because we've been doing it for I don't even know how many episodes we've done, but we'll bring you some more General Hospital in the coming weeks. Thanks for joining Queers and Soaps today. Subscribe, like, and comment on everything. We would like some comments. We would like to know if you watched this,
or
had
my
some episode, or her mom that
mom.
recorded it originally on VHS in SP mode.
Yes. In SP mode, we watched the wedding. Yes, we did.
Have a good one, everyone. Bye.